Hello, fellow people of the Earth. I am Derry50 from Ridgecraft Productions, and welcome to the 5th episode of our Java tutorial series. Now, last episode we worked on the calculator again. We worked on typing. So now if we open this program and we just go ahead and type like I am right now, it works. Then we also worked on if you click other keys, stuff happens. So now remember how we added stuff to that type list here? Yeah. So let's go ahead and make it so you actually type those. So let's just quickly go over to the design page. Sorry, actually pretty much before I do that, what we're going to do this episode is we're pretty much going to be finishing off this whole class here so we can work on better things. We may even go further than that, I'm not sure. But I know we currently do not have anything that happens when you click the divide button, so pretty much just do input and then in quotes divide. So just do that for that one, this one, we'll do it for this one. Did we do it for this one? No, we didn't. Okay. And then we'll do it for this one. My dog. And we'll do it for this one. We're out with the equals right now, but we'll do that eventually. So this is I just want to inform you guys about something. If you at all ever think that you can do something without watching the video, like you feel like you can finish something off, you can do something yourself, by all means do it, because that is how you learn how to code. I can't simply give you the code for everything. That's not how you really learn how to code. I can give you, of course, the actual, like, what an array list is, what a text field, text field is, whatever. But, you know, to actually, or what a boolean is, you know, all that stuff. But to actually know how to code, you have to do it yourself. And I know that sounds weird, but you do have to actually do it yourself. You have to learn how to do it yourself. And that's not simply from copying, and, you know. And this sort of thing you can copy and figure out yourself, but if you ever feel at all like you don't understand something, go ahead and leave a comment. And if you ever feel at all like you want to do something on yourself, to go ahead and do it. And if you want to watch the next episode after that and figure out what, you know, how it's actually supposed to be done, then yeah, that's what you should do. If it doesn't work, that is. If it works, then keep it. Try and, you know, do everything you can to make it work. So, what do we have here? We have... my mouth keeps watering. We have every single time you press a button, this is an input is put in, and that input void method is right down here. And all that does right now is it sets our output text to whatever the text currently is plus our next object. Now, this is of course not going to work when we actually calculate things. We have to record every time somebody presses a button down, other than just the text field. So why don't we up here go ahead and type in public static array list object, and we'll call this object array list will be calc. This will equal a new array list object. Now what we're going to do for this array list is, well, I'll show you. What we're going to do is every time an input is made in our void here, we're going to do calc dot add O. And for right now, just to show you what this will do, we'll do system dot out dot println, and we'll do calc. So now, sorry, it wasn't loading the first time. If I press something, as you can see right now, that's what the array list is currently. Then I press something else, and the array list, it pretty much separates these things, and you can do like 96 minus 96, and it, you know, this is how this is how the computer reads it, and that allows us to simply go calc dot get, and you get an int index. And if we did like for example system dot out that get print line, then calc dot get and then 1, we'll probably get we'll get an error because 1 doesn't exist at first, but then it does, and it's returning 6 because that's the second one here. I'll just probably put it at 0. because 0 is actually the first one. But if I type in 9, as you can see, 9 is the first one, so it says that. You can get the integer, like 0 would be that, 1 would be that, and then 2 would be that, and so on. So that allows us, gives us a lot of room later. So now, what we want to do is, anything else we have to do more in this class? Hold on, let's see if we have to do anything else. So just a few methods that'll help us out later, just to get these over with. We'll just add another private void, and we'll call this output. Nah, sorry. And what this is going to do is this is going to take a double, which is going to be sent from our script that calculates things. It's going to eventually output a double. And what we're going to do is we're taking text output and we're setting the text to double dot to string and then output. By the way, if this black box ever shows up right there, press insert. It gets rid of it. And we want to do calc.clear to clear the calculating array list, but then we also want to add the output back to the array list. So pretty much, what this is doing is, first it is, when it receives an output, it sets the actual output text. So if I open a Windows calculator here, 9 plus 2, it calculates it 9 times 2, whatever, and that is what the actual text is. But then you can do like plus 3, because 18 is added back to the array list after the calc array list is cleared. So that's what's happening right there. So it looks like we have that good. Other stuff we can work on later. I think, yeah, we're pretty much good with that. I think there was something wrong with the enter button last episode. Let's just see if that's still a thing. System.out.println, and then just do a little test here. Enter. Oh, okay. I'll figure this out. Hold on. I'm actually going to unpause for this, so I want to show you how you can debug this. So I added a, first of all, an enter print line here. Now, if I go ahead and press enter right now, nothing happens. But to check that something actually is happening, let's just go ahead and do a print line up here. So when I press the enter key again here, and I still haven't figured out how this, why this isn't working, but if you press the enter key again now, it's printing out the line. So we know that the key event is actually being called, so why don't we go ahead and do system.out.println, and then we do event.getKeyCode, and just see what that does. 0. All of them are 0. Event.getKeyText, and then event.getKeyCode. It's weird. To figure this out, but this is pretty much what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out a way to get something from the event that's being called, so we can kind of, you know, maybe get ID. 400. They're all 400. They're literally all 400. What the heck? Maybe it's just the event ID. Get key location, maybe? They're all 0. This is kind of annoying. Maybe we can do if typed letter is equal to that. Let's just do system.out.println typed letter plus typed letter. So what the typed letter is actually doing is it's creating a new line in the console, and that's because it's actually the enter key. So I'm gonna do something quick. Never mind, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Continue to figure it out. Hold on. Alright, so this is what I've done. Is I put character.get numerical value, and enter is equal to -1. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this and delete this now, and I'll do if that is equal to -1, then there we go. So now if I press any other key, nothing will happen to do with that. Alright, so spacebar is actually the same. Spacebar does the same thing. Just spacebar and enter. I'm okay with that. I mean, spacebar would work too for the calculator. So I guess that's alright. So now that we know that this is working, we need to create the actual calculation script. So this is where the harder part of this tutorial series is going to come in, and this is really going to test your skills that you may or may not have. And if you do have, then it'll I'll probably have 2 separate series after this one, a more advanced one, and one that is going back to a couple episodes ago, kind of pretty simple, probably a bit harder than that, but you know, still pretty simple. I think I'll do that. I'm just not entirely sure. I'm still figuring it out. All I know is this is definitely going to test you. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a double and call it output. Well, actually, it's just, yeah, double output. Actually, let's call something. Let's just do calculate. Let's just create a void called calculate. And we'll make that down here below output. And what calculate is going to do is it's going to be called here, and it's going to be called here. So and this method is going to relate to another script. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new class in our package and call it calculate. Now this class is going to do all of our calculations, everything. And this episode, to end this episode off, I'm going to do some basic things in calculate before we work on the main methods. But all I know is we are going to have a couple methods. First one is going to be calc, and it's going to take an array list, an object array list, the calc array list, which we were talking about before. And for now, I'm just going to return 0.0 because we're going to work on this one a lot. This is a huge one, and a couple other ones we'll just get out of the way. Private double math multiply will be equal to both of these values, and what it's going to do is it's going to do simply that, and then return math. So next, we'll talk about that kind of stuff later, but right now, of course, we're making methods that will take 2 values and do certain things with them quickly. So math divide, which is double last, double next, double math equals last, next. Right, yep, and return math. And then private double math subtract, which will be equal to, or you'll take 2 values, double last, double next. And that will, double math will be equal to last minus next, and return math. And then of course we need another last one, math add. And this will of course take the same things and do the same sort of thing. Alright, so this will be really easy for us to come back to later. All these voids that will do all our work for us with that kind of stuff. The big nitty-gritty of this episode is identifying if something is a double, or is a double and is an integer. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna create first a little void here, and remember, this entire class is going to deal with objects. We're receiving an object array list, so this is why we have to do these kind of things. We have to identify if something's a string, and a double, or an integer. So isObjectString will take a object, and it will for all of these Boolean methods here, we're going to have Boolean return bool equals true at the beginning, or false, depending, and then a try statement. And remember what a try statement is. It tries something and then catches an exception if something goes wrong. And if something goes wrong, in this case, return bool is equal to false. And what we're going to try is we're doing string s is equal to string o. So pretty much what this is doing is it's trying to, of course at the bottom you have to return return bool. And if you see what this is doing, it's trying to see if it can parse the object into a string, and if it can't, then it catches an exception and return bool is false. So we have that. Next up we're going to do isInteger, so private boolean isInteger object o. I'll do the return bool thing again, except this time, this time we want to have return bool equal to false at the start. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do if, and then isObjectString o, so it checks if it's a string. Then it's going to do string s is equal to So pretty much what isObjectString is, it's kind of an error stopper, because we already know that everything is a string. It's going to be added to this object array list. But just in case some random thing is added that isn't a string, then we won't have an error problem. So that's what isObjectString is. It just checks if it's a string and everything's all right. So I'm doing another try catch statement, and the type of exception, if you want to be specific, is a number format exception. Now, if you want, you can still just have exception, but sometimes it's alright to be specific with that kind of stuff. Doesn't really hurt to do either. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to do integer.parse int s, and if it parses correctly, then this will continue, and we'll do return bool. Actually, I'm not sure what yeah, actually what we should do is probably do return bool equals false here. And we'll do true up here. So what it'll do is if there is an error, then it'll go false, but if not, yeah, it'll still be true. Now after that, what we want to do is if isObjectString. Right here we'll do else, and then return true. So this may seem kind of weird. So pretty much at this object array list, one thing I actually misspoke before. Not everything added to this array list is going to be a string. There are going to be integers too. So pretty much it checks if something is a string. If it is not a string, then we know it already that it's an integer, so we return true. But if it is a string, then we'll try and parse it into an integer quick, just to see if it's a because there's two different things that may be on this array list. We may have this, and then we may have this. There's a huge difference. So we want to parse to see if it's a string, and try and parse the string into a integer, and if that doesn't work, return false. I think I know why I did this. Hold on. Just to be sure. Just to be sure for now, I'm going to do this. This worked for me before, so I'm just do this for now, and then return bool equals false right there. So we have isInteger. Now, I think this episode's kind of going, you might as well do this method, so we can really start on the calculation code next episode. But we're going to do private boolean isInteger double. And it's going to take an object. So this is the big one. This one's checking if it's a double, and if you remember, a double is like this. It's 1.0. Well, in our program, we'll have that as kind of like this. So it has to be parsed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna boolean return bool equals equals false, and that's from the start. Now what we're doing now is we're pretty much doing exactly what we did right here. So we're checking, we're just going to copy this whole thing here and paste it down here. So we're checking if objects is string, we're checking if the object is a string, and we're parsing it into an integer. So same thing. And else right down here, and return true. And then what we're going to do is at the bottom here, instead of wasting time and continuing if we have already, if nothing else has worked, we're going to do if return bool equals false. So if return bool is still equal to false, make sure it's equals false, by the way. First of all, let me explain this. So this may be a bit confusing. So you're saying well, if it doesn't work, it returns true, and that's it's not true. So it checks if the object is a string, and if the string is, if it parses correctly, then it return bool is equal to false still, if it parses correctly. And if it doesn't, I'll talk about it later. I just want to get this code over with. So if return bool is still equal to false, we're going to try this same thing up here. So we'll do if is object string again, and in between here we're gonna have oh, never mind. I'm sorry. First one, we're gonna do this eventually, but right now what I want to do is I want to just try something really simple. So if this actually is a double and we don't have to do any parsing, we're gonna see if that works. So we're gonna do double D equals double O. So a new double called D is equal to the parsed double of the object, and in this case return bool will be equal to true, and we're gonna catch an exception, of course, like we always do. And this will be exception E. Sorry, and we'll do return bool equal to false. So if the entire thing is a double in the first place, then we just, it's true, of course. That's a very simple one. Now, next we're going to do the same thing we did here. If return bool is equal to false, then we're going to do, this is what I was trying to do before, but we want to do that first step first, because that's the easiest one for the computer to handle. And we're going to do another try catch statement. So actually, I should probably get into the use of typing these before I put in the code. So like that. And right here we're going to do double dot parse double s. Sorry, up here we actually have to define a new string, like we did before up here, and return, and if it does parse correctly, then return bool is equal to true. And I keep doing this, but it's a lowercase b. Alright, so I pretty much have the majority of the stuff done that we need for now to get ready for this next time. Oh, I'd actually probably have to add the end of this one. This is the end. Where's the void, the end of this method, though? Alright, so right below here we want to do return bool. Alright, so there we go. So now we have this pretty much all the easy stuff we need done with this class. Next episode we can work on the harder stuff. But anyway, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next episode.